focused and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of Friday, June 14. I'm Riza Diaz. We start off today's rush with President Duterte optimistic that the new People's Army won't be around much longer. Gemma Vansenia reports.
President Duterte expressed confidence that it's just a matter of time before the existence of the new People's Army comes to an end. Facing agrarian reform beneficiaries in General Santos City on Thursday, Duterte said that the communist rebels are slowly running out of resources.
Patapos na ni. Musugot mo sa dili kamong mga NPA, mga komunista. Patapos na gyud mo. Wala mo'y armas, wala mo'y bala, wala mo'y pagkaon, puro nuka. Inyong iabot diha, puro paak sa limatok.
But to avoid what he called a social dysfunction that have been affecting generation after generation, Duterte vowed to provide housing and skills training to NPA surrenderies. Duterte laments how armed revolution has allegedly been tearing Filipino families apart for decades.
Ang di nako gusto diha ang social dysfunction sa Pilipinas, pareho pog sa droga. Daghang pamilya nga wa na gani makakita sa ilang ginikanan nanay ug tatay kay tuwa sa kalihukan.
Peace talks have been in an on and off status under President Duterte's term, although in April the chief executive considered plans to form a new peace negotiating panel that would take over talks. Duterte said the old peace panel did not yield significant progress in the past years. For News 5, Gemma Vansenia, we are One News.
Here are some of the day's biggest stories. President Duterte repeats orders to shut down the Kappa Community Ministry and prevent its founders from fleeing the country. The president made this statement just after the religious group staged a prayer rally in General Santos City. Duterte explained that Kappa's alleged Ponzi schemes is tantamount to large-scale estafa. The chief executive even directed Visayan expletives at a Kappa founder, Joel Apolinario, during his speech in another part of Gensan.
The operation will be stopped or shall stop immediately.
But on the issue of Chinese-Filipino fishing boat collision, the president remains silent. That's despite delivering 3 speeches in a row hours after the incident has made headlines. The chief executive went to Lanao del Sur to give a speech for Independence Day. Later that night, Duterte attended the oath-taking of Cagayan de Oro officials. And finally, he went to General Santos City to speak about land distribution on Thursday. But despite the president's lack of response on the collision issue, military officials and sea experts have been vocal about their stance on the matter. The AFP Western Command says it was probably just an accident. But if it was an accident, Navy Chief Robert Empedrad says the Chinese should have helped the Filipino crew. The Coast Guard is also looking to confirm whether Chinese seafarers were behind the so-called hit and run. Meanwhile, maritime expert J. Batong Bakal, on the other hand, claims this is not the first time that this incident has happened. He adds that should the sinking of the fishing boat be found intentional, the government should sue the crew of the Chinese vessel. Meanwhile, Palace spokesperson Salvador Panelo believes the collision would enrage the president despite not hearing a word from Duterte himself. Greg Gregorio will tell us more.
Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said he is yet to talk to President Rodrigo Duterte about the incident at the Recto Bank in the West Philippine Sea, resulting in the sinking of a Filipino fishing boat. But Panelo thinks this would outrage the president.
He is outraged by that. Whether it's a form of bullying or not, it's outrageous, it's barbaric, it's uncivilized.
So when
and we're condemning it.
According to reports, the Chinese vessel bumped into the anchored FB Gimver with 22 Filipino fishermen on board. The Chinese, again according to reports, abandoned the Filipinos in distress. The Department of Foreign Affairs says it has already filed a diplomatic protest to China. Malacanang is also seeking the explanation of Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Xiao Zhanhua, about the incident, urging Beijing to probe and hold accountable those involved. The incident happened on June 9, Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day. Panelo admits that this could affect the friendly relationship of the two countries.
With this intention, it's an act of aggression. We will cut off diplomatic relations. Yan ang unang ginagawa ng mga pag mayroong mga aggressive acts. First, magdi-diplomatic protest ka. Kung hindi ka kontento sa paliwanag nila at nakita natin na talagang sinadya, ibang usapan niya.
Meanwhile, some senators questioned China's actions. Senator Rizzo Ontiveros called on the president to recall the ambassador and all our consuls in China, just like when he recalled all Filipino diplomats in Canada over the garbage issue. But Panelo didn't seem to like the tone of the lady senator.
Lahat na options kinukonsider yan. We don't need the advice of the good senator on that.
Former Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario said the government must now consider a multilateral approach in resolving the issue, a suggestion the palace again didn't seem to like.
He doesn't have to tell us what to do. We know what to do. Dapat ginawa nila yun noon nung sila'y nandiyan pa.
For now, the palace said it is waiting for the Chinese government's response to the diplomatic protest before making another move. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, We Are One News.
Now, as a response, Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Xia Jianhua, says China will be investigating the matter. In a text message to Panelo, the Chinese envoy says if proven to be true, those manning the Chinese vessel will be punished for their irresponsible behavior. The ambassador adds the incidents happen even in, quote, the best regulated family. Meanwhile, here are the biggest stories from the dailies. President Duterte regrets running as president. That's after a series of corruption allegations rocked several government agencies. Philippine Star reports that amid his frustration, Duterte went as far as to advising his daughter, Davao Mayor Sara Duterte, not to follow his footsteps. From Filipino Star ngayon, the Transportation Department says it will do whatever it takes to immediately start commercial operations at the Sangli Airport, in line with the President Duterte's order. This move is seen to ease the traffic congestion and flight delays at the NAIA. Local carriers are also pitching in to help fast-track the transfer of flights to Sangli. Business World reports that airlines have agreed to relocate their general aviation commercial and freight operations to the airbase. The DOTR expects the move to free up space at NAIA, allowing additional improvements to the country's main airport. And after much consultation among stakeholders, Angkas motorcycle taxis are set for their 6-month trial run. Laila Pangilinan with the story.
Angkas is all set for the government-sanctioned 6-month pilot run in Metro Manila and Cebu. It is the result of consultations with various government agencies to study the feasibility of allowing motorcycle taxis in the country.
We will be reporting to them on a monthly basis, to check yung mga nangyayari sa amin. So talagang tututukan kami ng government this time.
So ito po, ipapakita po natin yung ating safety features or safety guidelines sa Angkas. Yung safety record po ba natin, sustainable. Yun po yung pilota is to really assess and evaluate kung ano yung mga dapat pong gawing safety guidelines.
Angkas also ensured the safety of riders and passengers during the pilot run. Rider reorientation has already begun for 12,000 riders. 15,000 more riders are expected to complete their rider reorientation. This is aside from the extensive training that all of them underwent as applicants, of which only 27,000 of 100,000 passed.
Papaliwanag po namin kung ano po ang mga pagbabago po ngayon sa aming magiging pilot run. I-educate po namin sila tungkol po doon sa mga napagkasunduan po ng technical working group, pati ng mga ilang government agencies. Ititrain po namin ulit sila, i-refresh po namin sila tungkol po sa motorcycle safety.
Highlight of the pilot run is the added safety measures for both riders and passengers. This laminated card has do's and don'ts a passenger must abide to before the trip could start. Angkas also boasted of their version 2.0 reflectorized safety vest, which features an ID of the rider, the plate number of the motorcycle both at the front and back of the vest, and the safety strap for passengers.
Meron po side handles rin sa likod para kung nahihiya po tayo akapin yung biker natin, nandito po sa likod. So yung balansyado po yung ating motor.
Both passenger and rider are required to wear a safety vest. This will complete the passenger's safety gear. And if you're still on the jumpy side, a tap on your Angkas rider's shoulder should do the trick.
Meron po tayong communication system na develop between the biker and the rider. Pag masyadong mabilis yung rider, hindi ka komportable sa daan, pwede mo itap sa shoulder.
Angkas is hoping that with all these safety features, government will finally approve its legalization. For News 5, Laila Pangilinan, we are One News.
Thousands of Hong Kong citizens again flocked to the streets on Thursday to protest the allegedly cruel and unfair extradition law on Thursday. Bev Verdera with the story.
A few hours before the Legislative Council debate regarding the extradition bill, protesters gathered in Lung Wo Road. Most of them are wearing masks and helmets. Rallies tore down and took some of the barricades. After a while, they charged toward the Legislative Council building. But the police have thrown tear gas in an attempt to repel them. Rallies continued their protest anyway. Armed with umbrellas, they attacked the police guarding the building. About 70 people were wounded in the Hong Kong protest. 2 of them are in critical condition. Because of the protests, government offices are closed, including the train station. The debate on the extradition bill is suspended indefinitely because of the mass actions. The bill aims to send wanted people from Hong Kong to mainland China for trial. It garnered criticism because people do not trust the justice system in China. Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam said she was hurt with what is happening, but still decided to push through with the bill.
呢件事係有爭議性，係無可置疑。解説同埋溝通有用，但係或許不能夠完全消除咗呢啲嘅擔心或者係焦慮或者係爭議性。
The Consulate of the Philippines is still monitoring if the proposed bill would affect Filipinos with permanent residence in Hong Kong.
Pag-aaralan po natin kung ano po yung lumabas na final version, doon po natin malalaman kung ano pong mga krimen, kung sino po ang maaaring ma-extradite, kung limited po ba sa 1 residence, 2 kung sino man ang nandito, o 3 sa citizen lang nila.
As of now, Filipinos in Hong Kong are advised not to get involved and go to the areas where the protests are held. For News 5, Bev Verdera, we are One News.
Let's fast break now to Sports Rush. Ball action continues at the Spikers Turf 2019 Reinforced Conference at the Paco Arena. The Santa Elena Ball Hammers defeated Phoenix in a thrilling 5-setter. Edward Camposano led the Ball Hammers with 23 attack points. The second match proved to be shorter as the VNS Volleyball Club defeated the Philippine Coast Guard in 3 straight sets. Likewise, in the third and final match, the Bisco Philippines team defeated Animo Green Blazing Spikers 3-0. Now, over in the NBA, Warriors star player Kevin Durant underwent surgery after rupturing his Achilles in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Now, on Wednesday, Durant posted an IG photo of him lying in the hospital bed after a successful surgery. He said he's hurting deeply with what happened, but is feeling okay nevertheless, especially with the support of his family, friends, and fans. Durant sustained the injury during the second quarter, and prior to that, he got benched for a month due to a calf injury. He said he is still wanting to play for the love of basketball. But even without him, the trenches, or even without Kevin Durant, is still confident that the Golden State Warriors can get Game 6. With the Raptors finally claiming, or will the Raptors finally claim the first franchise ring after 24 years in the league? Or will the Warriors keep their momentum and push the battle to Game 7? We'll find out in a few hours as the Toronto Raptors and the Golden State Warriors are set to face off on Game 6 of the NBA Finals. And that's how today is shaping up to be this Friday, June 14, 2019. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.